Hello, welcome to the Live to 110 podcast. My name is Wendy Myers, and you can find me at live110.com. And pretty soon we'll have the brand new mineralpower.com. That's my healing and detox program that I use to heal my own health, and I spent the last few years developing. So go take a look at it at mineralpower.com. Today we have Kyle Knappenberger on the show. He's the Director of Applications at Enviro Cleanse air purifiers, and they have lots of products that help you to detox your home and to decontaminate fabrics and your clothing in the wash, etc. So he has a vast knowledge of the issues that people have who are suffering from multiple chemical sensitivity, and just people in general. The show is primarily focusing on multiple chemical sensitivity, but it's also really can resonate with anyone because we are all exposed to almost 80,000 chemicals in the environment, and women are exposed to 126 chemicals before they even walk out the door. Men are exposed to 26 chemicals per day in their personal care products before they've even left the door and start breathing in the air and breathing in smog, etc., etc. So Kyle is going to be talking about some solutions that you can use in your home to help you to reduce your toxic exposure and make the air that you breathe safer. Please keep in mind this podcast is solely informational in nature. Please consult your healthcare practitioner before participating or engaging in any treatment that we suggest today on the show. The Live to 110 podcast is solely informational in nature and for entertainment purposes only. I'm really thrilled my line of supplements has finally come to fruition. It's a long-term dream of mine, and it's called Bio Rehab. That's my line of supplements, and it's now available on Amazon. So go search for my first product. It's called Liver Rehab Plus, and I designed this product over a few months, formulated it using the best ingredients to help to detox your liver. I think liver health is so important because of all the 80,000 plus chemicals we have in our environment. Our livers have a really tough time detoxing, and they have a tough time recognizing a lot of chemicals and breaking these chemicals down. And I really strongly feel that everyone needs help in detoxing their body by supporting their liver health. So that's why I developed Liver Rehab Plus. So it's got milk thistle in it, burdock root. It's got lots of ingredients, methionine, that really helps to support liver function, as well as milk thistle, of course. So go check it out at Amazon.com. Our guest today is Kyle Knappenberger. He is the Director of Applications at EnviroKlenz of Fort Myers, Florida. Kyle holds a Bachelor's of Science degree in microbiology from Kansas State University. He earned his degree while researching and testing water purification techniques. For over a decade, Kyle has been working on using safe technology for odor control and toxic chemical elimination. Kyle joined Timilon in 2013 when they acquired the technology behind EnviroKlenz air purifiers. He has been involved in several key product development programs related to indoor air quality and individuals dealing with multiple chemical sensitivity. Kyle co-holds 6 patents related to the mitigation or reduction of chemical and biological contamination. Kyle, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, hi, Wendy. Thank you. Thank you for having me today.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and the company you work for, EnviroKlenz?
Oh, absolutely. Well, my background is actually fairly diverse. I got started in science, from a very young age. And in school, I was working on water filtration applications, and just kind of by happenstance, I started working with a professor who was connected to a university spin-out company that got me involved in technologies that were really exciting for chemical decontamination. And time passes. I've been involved in that arena for a long time, but just a couple of years ago, Timilon, the parent company to EnviroKlenz, was formed, and we acquired a broad technology that can do a lot of different chemical decontamination, chemical mitigation, environmental pollution remediation, And we took this technology, which is a pretty extensive portfolio of patents and know-how, and we brought this out to some new markets. It was being used for chem decon and hazmat remediation, but we wanted to bring this to people who really could utilize it and could utilize it on a daily basis. And that is my background. So it really has been in this technology for over 15 years of chemical hazard and chemical pollution mitigation.
Yeah, and so we're going to be talking about air filters on the show today. And EnviroKlenz makes air filters. So why does someone need an air filter? What's the importance of filtering the air inside your home?
Well, as we are all breathing all the time, I mean, it is really the number one way that we are exposed to different chemicals and different pollutions. The primary function of a traditional air filter is to remove particulates. It's the mold, the spores, hair, dander, allergens, asthma. But air filters can be used to do much more than that. The traditional state of the art, though, is often focused just on the things that are floating around that are particulate mass. But at EnviroKlenz, what we've been able to do is take our chemical materials and be able to integrate them into more traditional looking air filters. And we always say air filters remove particulates. Well, we've been able to add through our technology a way for them to do more than just that, because positive air quality, or I guess you could say negative air quality in the inverse, contains a lot more than just particulates. They have chemicals, odors, and gases, and we're able to, through that technology, improve what people are already doing, which, going back to your question of why do you use an air filter, well, it's to remove things. Well, traditional things just have left out quite a few things, and they're not removing them, and we've been able to improve that through our technology.
What kind of toxins are in the air that we're breathing in every day, especially indoors in our homes?
Well, it includes just about everything that we are exposing ourselves to every day. As we go out and about, and there's car pollution, there's chemical products that we're using in our homes. There are the traditional environmental chemicals and pollution, or the allergies and the asthma, the pollen, those sorts of things. But the number one chemicals and pollution, or chemical pollution types of things that we're exposing ourselves to, are different, volatile organic compounds, acid gases, all the things that we as a society are making and creating and using in our daily environments.
Yeah. And so we're going to talk a little bit on the show about multiple chemical sensitivity. Can you talk a little bit about what that is and its prevalence? I mean, I know in working with my client population, a lot of clients with multiple chemical sensitivity, like they smell perfume and they can't stand it, or they can't go to department stores because there's so many chemicals and perfumes and cleaners and things that are used in there. So why don't you just define what exactly is multiple chemical sensitivity?
Yeah, it's a very unfortunate set of circumstances that quite a few people have to live with, and it really has to do with individuals that have a heightened sensitivity to different environmental factors. Some people may call it sick building syndrome, or other environmental illnesses, but really it comes down to people have a heightened sensitivity to a wide variety of chemicals, and that's what's interesting about this is it doesn't have to be specifically pesticides or perfumes or insecticides. It could be just about any type of chemical. A lot of ones though that happen to give a lot of people trouble though are the volatile organic compound classes of materials, and things like cigarette smoke and tobacco. We've just encountered a lot of folks who, unfortunately, to simplify it, is they're almost allergic to their home environment, because the things that are in our house and in our homes, are off-gassing these types of chemicals into the environment. And It really is unfortunate, and people can have symptoms that range from itchiness, skin issues, to just traditional things you might see with asthma and allergies and sneezing. It really is unfortunate, and it is a non-specific set of symptoms, but they're very wide ranging, and I've seen it directly with people I've worked with. It is extremely impactful to how they live their daily lives.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people will go to their regular doctor trying to get, make sense of their symptoms and try to get relief, and they're not able to because there's no medication, that's offered by physicians to, detox these chemicals or to, relieve your symptoms in reaction to these chemicals.
Absolutely, and it's hard for the medical community to sometimes diagnose that, because odors and chemicals, it's often not necessarily one thing. It can be a broad range of classes of chemicals that can cause these issues for people. And chemicals or odors are themselves, they're not necessarily one single compound, so it can be tricky to identify what a source may be, or what that trigger is, or even stretching it back, when did this first start. People can often trace it back to some sort of event, but it may not be specific to a single type of chemical or odor. It really can be very debilitating for folks to deal with it.
Yeah, and unless you're going to an environmental doctor who specializes in environmental toxins and detoxification, you're not going to get any answers. So I think anyone suffering with vague symptoms and no doctor can figure it out, you might want to be looking into detox for sure. So what are some key household chemical issues that you see when you've been working with individuals with multiple chemical sensitivity?
Well, we've seen household chemicals, household cleaning products be some significant triggers for folks. Also, just the building materials and the contents of their home. Things like their carpet is a perfect example. And a lot of chemically sensitive individuals that we've worked with, the ideal situation for them is to, be in a home with hardly any rugs or carpet, but that's just not a luxury of a lot of folks to strip everything out of their home. We've had a lot of customers and a lot of people we've worked with where it's been the carpet has been a major source of their pain. Additionally, it has to do with, what are they living nearby? We've had a lot of folks who, unfortunately, just because of what they do in their lives or where they're from, they're living in an area that has a lot more chemical pollution that is, coming into their living space than that they ideally would like. So they try their best to minimize these sources of chemicals, but it can be very challenging to do that.
Yeah, I know carpet is really nasty. It's got fire retardants on it. It's got, releasing volatile organic compounds. It's just, not to mention allergies and dander, and it's really disgusting.
No, it harbors a lot of things. The adhesives that hold it together. As you mentioned, the VOCs, and then you're just dragging in a lot of things from the outside world, and those carpet fibers can be a ideal place for those things just to take up residence.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And so what have you seen in individuals with multiple chemical sensitivity do to minimize chemical pollutants in their home?
Number one, what we've seen is avoidance. To the best of their ability, they are tearing out carpet, removing rugs. They have leather furniture or furniture that doesn't have a lot of soft surface upholstery. They use much safer and greener chemicals for cleaning. They're not utilizing chlorine bleaches or those types of products. They really strip things down to the basic necessary components and ingredients. Obviously, the number one thing we hear about is issues when people move into new homes and apartments is the environment's been polluted with your plug-in type chemical fragrances and perfume devices, and those obviously are the first things that they remove from those environments if they have to move into them, or they just avoid moving into places that have had those types of products in them before. Other things that we've heard about is special sealers, special sealers to seal in chemicals and different primers. Low VOC paints are pretty popular, and hopefully doing these few things, which some of them are obvious, some of them are less obvious, but by doing that, these folks are able to some level to hopefully be able to live with and manage these symptoms. Unfortunately, you rarely meet a MCS individual who says that they have completely managed it, but they tend to get by often by doing some of these things.
Yeah. And so, how did you get involved in learning about multiple chemical sensitivity?
It was a pretty interesting situation because the technology that we have here at our company, as I mentioned earlier, is a pretty diverse and broad spectrum ability for neutralizing a lot of different chemicals. And we had a line of products. It's our Odor Cleanse line of products that we have out. It's for broad use odor, broad spectrum odor elimination products. For again air quality pet products, laundry additives, and we started hearing from people that have multiple chemical sensitivity and different environmental issues, environmental sensitivities, calling us and saying, I thought this may work for me. The technology behind it sounds like it would work. And you know what? I'm a person that has MCS, and I can now, wash my clothes in a laundromat again. I was always afraid of bringing it to the laundromat because that's, people bring their clothes to the laundromat to get rid of contamination, and then someone with MCS comes in and their clothes pick that right back up. Well, we heard that time and time again, and we had folks that were utilizing some of our products that are used in the disaster restoration industry in their homes, to mitigate chemicals or pollutants in the air, and we just kept hearing this, and we weren't marketing this Odor Cleanse line for that use. It was for broad spectrum odor elimination, and we started learning from people in the industry, from the most chemically sensitive people themselves. Hey, your products are working here. I'm gonna start buying these. I'm gonna start using these, and that really got us at, thinking about this. How can we take this a step further and really help out this population of individuals dealing with all these issues and symptoms? And that led to the development of our EnviroKlenz line of products. We took this technology that could be used for broad odor elimination, and we turned it into something that utilizes this absorptive neutralization process that we have with our materials, and turn it into something that can eliminate indoor environmental sensitivity triggers. So we kind of took it from the high level of odors in general, and then really focused it in on those environmental sensitivity triggers.
So with someone that has multiple chemical sensitivities, or they're just trying to clean up their home environment, how can the EnviroKlenz line of products help them?
A few different ways that can be done. We put this program and system together to address the entirety of a personal environment space. Within that umbrella, you've got your air and your air quality. You have the different surfaces, whether that's flooring or furniture, carpets, rugs, you name it. And then it's also the contents. So we wanted to address all three of those components with our EnviroKlenz line, and that really led to us to developing a portable mobile air system that a person can place in their homes, utilizes our advanced technology, our patented technology to mitigate chemical pollutants out of the air as the air is circulating. And what's nice about that particular system and product is it's not introducing any chemicals or added fragrances to the environment. It really is utilizing the movement of the air through our air cartridge, and we call it a cartridge instead of a filter because again, filters remove particulates, and this is doing not only the particulate removal, but we're adding in that capability of removing chemical and odor pollution and fragrances as well. So as the air is circulating through that system, it's removing those, and it's going through that adsorptive neutralization process to remove them from the air. But as I mentioned earlier, one of the things that folks with MCS do is they try to minimize the amount of contamination they're putting in their homes, and that can be done through source treatments. We have products that can be applied to upholstery, carpets, and rugs, and then extracted back out. You get them into contact with things that can be sources of chemicals or pollution, and then neutralize them, remove them back out, and really then hopefully then those surfaces are not going to be off-gassing those chemicals or pollution. Then the third component would be your launderable and washable items, all the things that you can put in the wash machine. As we're walking around all day, we're collecting a lot of different things on our clothing, just from wherever we've been. It's a lot of different pollution, and we bring those back home, and then they reside in our clothes. We sit on the couch. They can transfer to the couch. Let's get them out of there. Let's neutralize them in the wash, and then they don't contribute then to the poor air quality in the home. So have all those three things working in harmony, and you really can improve your personal environment space.
Yeah, and the reality is, no matter what you do or how much you attempt to control your environment or control the intake of toxins, it's almost impossible because you're still going to have, when you open the door, smog or whatever is going to get into your home. So you kind of, need an air filter, an air purifier that's constantly, getting whatever you're not able to control in your environment.
Absolutely. It really is, it's one of the easiest things that we can do. We're always breathing, so we're always exposing ourselves to whatever we brought into our home. So it's really one of the best ways to improve your environment, your space, your home is to continuously be treating that for all those sorts of things. You go and fill up your car at the gas station, and you always get it on your hand, and then it transfers to your shirt, and then you go back home, and then you've got that smell in your home, and let's stop the cycle as soon as we can. Get it out of the air and treat that air as it's flowing in your home.
Yeah, so what kind of chemicals does your EnviroKlenz air purifiers remove?
What's nice about our technology is it is what we call a adsorptive neutralizer technology, and it really doesn't have a limit to the different types of chemicals or pollution that may be out there. Some of the things that this can be utilized for are your volatile organic compounds. Your standard VOCs can be used against your organic acids, which as they come through something like our mobile air system and contact our materials, they get neutralized through acid base reactions. We can chemically break down organic acids, and we form much safer metal salts and water byproducts within the cartridge, without releasing anything to the environment. The alcohols, aldehydes, ketones, different caustic compounds, oxidizers, things like chlorine gas, it's very potent materials. And then your phosphorus, nitrogen, and sulfur compounds, these are things that, are types of chemicals that can affect the nervous system, and they're very bad to be exposed to. There are a lot of the compounds behind pesticides, and our technology is able to, attack and neutralize these things, and then as they circulate through our air scrubber and into our air cartridge, this reaction, this mechanism through these chemical pathways is happening on the surface of our materials and not releasing anything back into the environment. So, it really is improving the air quality by the reduction of chemical pollution. And again, it's not really limited to what it can mitigate because of the way that we've made these materials, and the technology behind it is really very broad spectrum and diverse what it can do.
Can your filters remove mold?
Mold yes, it can remove mold spores circulating in the air. We do not make any mold kill claims, with our mobile air system. But one important aspect of mold issues that often gets overlooked is, growing mold is actually releasing specific volatile organic compounds, or MVOCs, into the air, and those often get overlooked. That's what you're smelling, and those different things. So yes, a mobile air system like ours that has a HEPA filtration is able to capture mold spores, but the added benefit is the technology in our air cartridge allows us to additionally capture and neutralize the different chemicals that are coming off from the mold itself. Now, if you have a mold problem, you obviously need to have that properly mitigated by specialists that do that type of remediation. But our technology can work against two different aspects of those types of problems.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So, what specifically? Let's talk about just the line of products. What kind of products do you have in your EnviroKlenz line?
Absolutely. We consider it a system approach to our personal environment space. We have our EnviroKlenz mobile air system, which is a standalone air filtration device that combines HEPA filtration with our absorptive neutralizer cartridge that treats the air. Additionally, we have more traditional looking air filters that go in, central air systems, HVAC systems, and it has, looks much more like a traditional pleated air filter. It has, still removes all the particulates that a pleated air filter would, but we're adding in that capability to neutralize chemicals, odors, and different contamination that's also in the air in addition to those particles.
Yeah, I think that's so important because everyone's air conditioners are sucking up all this toxic air and smog, and there's thallium toxicity in smog. People don't realize this, but thallium is added to gasoline to prevent knocking in cars by the petroleum companies. It makes the engines last a lot longer, and that gets into us and it poisons our body and decreases your body's ability to make energy. So it's very common toxicity I find in my clients. So that air conditioner is sucking up all this smog and all these toxins and then just releasing it into your home. So I think it's really important to have a filter like that right at the source.
Absolutely. So we've got those air filtration devices. We have the pleated air filters, and these have been wonderfully developed and easy to use, for everybody. What's nice is, whether you're living in an apartment or a home, you have central air or not, we have a way that you can deploy this, in your home to immediately start mitigating all those different types of, chemical and pollution that is in your environment. Then this kind of the second silo of products that we have are the surface products, the source treatment products. We have our EnviroKlenz Everyday Odor Eliminator product, which is a liquid used product that can be applied to a whole bunch of different surfaces, either hard or soft. It's primarily used on soft surfaces for the reasons we mentioned earlier, that those soft surfaces they're the sponge that brings in these chemicals and pollutants. It can be sprayed on or dabbed onto different surfaces and then hot water extracted out. The key thing with our technology is you want to get our good stuff into contact with the bad stuff. We've got to get the EnviroKlenz materials to reach out and grab onto those chemicals and pollutants and let it do its thing. So those can be used, again on rugs and carpets, upholstery, drapery, and then additionally we also have granular materials that can be used to clean up spills and different things that can become additional sources of pollution and chemical contamination in the home. The next one would be the contents, which is something like our EnviroKlenz laundry enhancer, and this has been an extremely popular product in addition to our air products, because everybody needs to do laundry. Everybody's wearing clothes, or at least I hope everybody's wearing clothes when they're going out in the world, and we're encountering a lot of different things, and the laundry enhancer, as I kind of mentioned in the opening, is something that really got us into the chemically sensitive world. We just did not realize how many folks are impacted by, they're picking up fragrances and perfumes from people they're encountering out in the world, and I've heard story after story of they encountered somebody that had a lot of fragrance on, and it just clung to their clothes, and they just couldn't wait to get home to change because it was, it affected the rest of their day. Well, our laundry additive, our laundry enhancer is an additive that you use right along with your favorite laundry detergent. So you still get the benefits of the detergent you've selected to, get your clothes clean and looking nice. But then the enhancer is able to mitigate all those different chemicals that the folks that have sensitivities to a wide variety of things are encountering, and it really makes things a lot easier for them. So the products, just then kind of in summary again, are the air treatment ones, the surface treatment products, and then for the contents, it really truly is the laundry enhancer is a great product, and we have a lot of folks who use all three of them, but by far the most popular two are the laundry enhancer and the one version of our air treatment system, again because we're all wearing clothes and we're all breathing air, and that sounds silly, but those are the two main ways that we are being exposed to different things.
Yeah, I'll have to get some of that laundry enhancer.
It works great. It really does work wonderfully.
Yeah, I have to try some of that because I definitely don't want to be wearing toxic clothes. Yeah.
No, we can get that to you if you would like some. No problem.
Yeah, I'd love to try some for sure.
Yeah, we actually, you mentioned you don't want to be wearing toxic clothes, but we've actually had heard from a lot of folks, they're utilizing it to save things that they were afraid that they may have to get rid of, and that's expensive too. You don't want to replace your wardrobe, or folks who are buying these brand new from stores, and the stores themselves may have had fragrances in the store that impact them, and we heard that time and time again where, oh, I'd like to shop at this store, but it's near the the perfume or cosmetic counter, and I just can't buy clothes that were there. And I would never, before working in this market, I would have never even known that was a problem, but it is a big problem, and we're very glad to help folks out that are dealing with that. I just couldn't imagine having to not deal with it on a daily basis, but you're dealing with it on a minute by minute basis.
Yeah, not to mention the clothes themselves are treated with formaldehyde and other chemicals to prevent them from wrinkling. So it's good to, I always wash my clothes, new clothes I buy. Definitely always wash them prior to wearing them because they smell. You can smell the chemicals on them. It's disgusting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and absolutely. And now that people do a lot more internet shopping, we've also heard of, folks that they receive a package at their home, and they don't know what that package has been exposed to, but they're sensitive to things, and they know that this jacket I bought, or these shirts or these pants that I bought, there's something on them that is affecting me, and we're able to help them out.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so I have a question I like to ask all of my guests. What do you think is the most pressing health issue in the world today?
Well, I'm going to, of course, take the biased approach here of, coming from a company that deals a lot with air quality issues. We've got a lot of smart people out there working on a lot of diverse medical and health issues out there. But the one thing that we ourselves can address is what we're exposing ourselves to on a daily basis. The different chemicals and pollution issues that, our society has created. And so I'm not exactly addressing that as a broad scope, but pressing health issue. But it is one that every person can take into account on a daily basis, because we can control that, or at least we can, minimize what we're exposing ourselves to.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I talk about that a lot on this podcast and on live to
Hmm.
110.com, that I try to give people all the tools they need to control the toxins that they are, perhaps innocently ingesting or
Yeah.
unknowingly ingesting in their air, food, and water, and their beauty products and their cleaning products, et cetera, et cetera. And it's amazing how many chemicals we're exposed to on a daily basis before we even walk out the door
Yeah.
in our
Exactly.
yeah, it's unbelievable. So there's a lot that you can do, and I think adding an air purifier is a very, very smart thing to do in your home to mitigate and reduce the amount of chemicals that you're ingesting on a daily basis.
Yeah, exactly. Making smart choices in the items we purchase, the things we eat, and the things that we expose ourselves to. I mean, it just is a very easy way to take a serious issue and, take control of it. Take control of it yourself, and that's just part of what we're trying to do, is give additional tools to folks in the MCS, allergy, asthma communities, giving them an additional tool to help them take control of a very serious issue for everybody, but specifically them, because of the nature of the sensitivities that they have to these things. There's a lot of chemicals out in the world that, to varying degrees and concentrations, can affect people, and for that percentage of the population where they're extremely sensitive to it, you really need to take extra precautions and be very diligent in the selection of the products, the food, the clothes, and the things that are in your life.
Yeah. Yeah. So, is there anything else that you want to add about, your company or that your air purifiers, et cetera, and where people can find them?
Well, we do help a lot of folks, and they tend to find us online at EnviroKlenz.com, and EnviroKlenz is spelled EnviroKlenz, so a little bit of a unusual spelling to that. But they can also, call in. We hear a lot of great stories, and we actually like to talk to people as well, because every set of circumstances and issues that MCS folks are dealing with are unique, and we can help them, help kind of tailor a package or a program for them to really mitigate those different things. And we're also available online through our chat feature, many hours throughout the day. So EnviroKlenz.com is the main way that they can reach us. But we are active in the MCS, or multiple chemical sensitive community, through different blogs, different organizations that are out there, and we also have a lot of folks that have found us, and we greatly appreciate all the referrals from the customers that we've had in the past. So it's a tight knit community in that referrals go a long way. We really appreciate MCS individuals, spreading that positive word, and letting others know how they can take control of these issues in their daily lives.
Yeah, well, Kyle, thank you so much for coming on the show. That was really, really informative. And I really love that you're spreading this message about the importance of clean air, because our indoor environment can be even more polluted than the outdoor environment. So it's really frightening.
It is. We spend 80% of our lives indoors, if not more. Let's take care of the air that we're breathing.
Absolutely. And listeners, if you want to learn more about me, you can go to live110.com, and pretty soon the brand new mineralpower.com, you can learn about my healing and detox program. And thank you so much for listening to the Live to 110 podcast.
For having me, Wendy. I'm excited to be here with you.
Why don't you tell the listeners a little bit more about yourself and your own health journey?
Sure. So I'm trained as an OBGYN, and it was really only a couple of years into my being an OBGYN that I started to notice that I was having my own health challenges. As a matter of fact, it was in my last year of my residency. I was only married for 3 years, and I was only 28 years old. And the first thing I noticed was that I lost my sex drive. Just completely gone. Of course, it didn't happen overnight. If I look back, it happened kind of slowly over some months, and I, started avoiding sex and, kind of sneaking into the bed early and perfecting the perfect snore.
Yeah.
So that my husband would know not to bother me, basically. But then one time I remember we were on vacation. And vacation had been a time where we would normally have more sex because, we were more relaxed and whatever. And so we're on vacation, and, we were in Colorado, and we were in the mountains, and there was a fire in the fireplace, and the music was playing, and the candles were lit, and everything was just perfect, right? And no matter what, I was just willing myself inside my head to try to get excited or, something going, and nothing was happening.
Oh, no.
And it was awful. And that was when my husband finally, it had been the elephant in the room for months. Neither one of us, we knew what was going on, but nobody was talking about it. And finally he just goes, "What is going on with you? Aren't you attracted to me anymore? Aren't you in love with me anymore?" And I was like, I looked at him like, "Yeah, I love you and you're fine. It's me. I felt like I was broken and there was something wrong with me." And the worst part for me was, as an OBGYN, I didn't have any idea how to fix it. So, I checked some of the usual things and plodded along. And the worst, on top of that, I felt so lonely because there wasn't really anybody to ask. It wasn't like I was taught this. In OBGYN training, nobody told me how to handle a woman losing her sex drive.
Yeah.
And so I felt like, well, if I didn't know how to solve it, who was going to know how to solve it? So I kind of just plodded along, and, we plodded along together, and we finally got pregnant, and then got pregnant again. And things just went from bad to worse, really. I mean, I not only after a while had I lost my sex drive, but then I really started to lose my energy and my get up and go. And I started to just live this life where I was like a mom, and I was wearing mom jeans, and I got a mom haircut and mom bathing suits. I mean, it was really I started not to be me almost anymore. And I didn't want to